Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. We're going to give folks a couple more minutes to join. We'll get started at around 12:03.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Zero Waste Innovations Grant Program Pre-Application Workshop. This workshop will be recorded and you can submit questions using Zoom's Q&A feature. Our team will read off questions and provide answers during the Q&A period, as well as post answers to web grants. Meet our team from left to right.
Hi, Alana Lowry.
Hi, Joanna Rosales.
Hi, I'm Nina Paez.
Hi, I'm Yamini Sadasivam.
Hello, I'm Diana Molyneux.
Hi, I'm Maria Chislett.
We will go over the agenda for today's workshop. Begin with program overview, web grants, application elements, evaluation, selection and award, Q&A. I'll pass this along to Alana.
Thank you. The City of San Jose adopted a zero waste strategic plan in 2008 to reduce waste and environmental impacts. The city has a goal to reach zero waste, defined as 90% of waste diverted from the landfill, by focusing on waste reduction, reuse, and material recovery. This supports highest and best use of materials, eliminating waste and pollution. This month, the City Council will consider adding a zero waste element to the Climate Smart San Jose plan, identifying strategies to reduce solid waste-related greenhouse gas emissions. The Zero Waste Innovations Grant, or ZWIG program, supports creative, community-driven solutions that reduce solid waste and their associated greenhouse gas emissions, promoting sustainability and a circular economy. A circular economy is defined as a systematic approach to economic development where environmental and climate impacts are low, waste generation is low, natural systems are protected and regenerated, and products or materials are kept in circulation through maintenance, reuse, recycling, refurbishment, remanufacturing, and composting. The ZWIG program is administered by the Environmental Services Department's Integrated Waste Management Division and is funded by Assembly Bill or AB 939 fees from landfills and non-disposal facilities. The program's goals are to help the San Jose community overcome financial barriers to implementing solid waste reduction practices, help expand much-needed reusable infrastructure, promote community engagement, and foster innovative partnerships that keep materials out of the landfill. Program objectives are to implement strategies from the upcoming zero waste element to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lower recycling contamination, which is non-recyclables or recyclables prepared incorrectly, increase our citywide waste diversion, and foster new markets. Here is our grant cycle timeline. The Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, was released last Friday, November 7th. Today is our pre-application workshop. The question and answer period started on Friday, November 7th, and will conclude Monday, November 24th by 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or PST. Applications are due by Friday, December 5th before 5 p.m. PST. The eligible service provider list will be posted Tuesday, December 23rd. The notice of award between December 2025 and January 2026. Required documentation will be due also between December 2025 and January 2026. These three deadlines are subject to change, and the deadline to appeal is Friday, January 2nd. Our timeline continued. Our grant service period will begin February 1st, 2026. We will have a grantee award workshop in February. The first progress report will be due June 15th. The second due October 15th, and the year one final report will be due January 31st, 2027. This also concludes the year one of grant service period. Here's the year two timeline if it becomes applicable. Year two's report number one will be due June 15th. The second report due October 15th. The year two final report due January 31st, 2028. And that's also the date in which the year two grant service period ends and the entire cycle one grant service period ends. The ZWIG program is funded through AB 939 revenue received annually. Grant cycle funding is determined annually based on this revenue availability. There is a total of $335,000 in total funds available for cycle one, year one grant projects, with individual awards ranging from a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of $50,000. Staff may award amounts smaller or larger than requested. Staff also anticipates issuing a minimum of 6 awards. The city may, at its discretion, extend year one projects for a second year term contingent upon fund availability and grantees' performance. I will now hand it over to Yaman.
Thank you, Alana. To be considered for this grant program, applicants must meet 4 eligibility requirements. Qualify as an eligible applicant, be based in San Jose or recover materials generated in San Jose, request a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of up to $50,000 in funding, and submit only one grant project that fits within one of the 3 ZWIG award categories. Only one application per organization will be accepted. Applications that do not meet these requirements will not be evaluated. Applicants uncertain of their eligibility should contact us at zwigrants@sanjoseca.gov, and eligibility determinations are final and not subject to appeal. Eligible applicants include nonprofit organizations with IRS recognized 501c3, 4, or 6 status in good standing, neighborhood associations composed of San Jose residents or homeowners, schools and academic institutions, including accredited K-12 schools, colleges, and universities. Small businesses operating in San Jose with 50 or fewer employees and a valid city business tax certificate. Faith-based organizations affiliated with a religious or spiritual community, and community-based organizations with a defined structure, such as a board or meeting minutes. Applicants uncertain of their eligibility again should contact us at zwigrants@sanjoseca.gov. Next slide. The first ZWIG award category focuses on waste prevention and redesign projects that avoid creating waste at the source by reducing the creation, distribution, or use of materials. This includes replacing single-use items, redesigning products for durability, and supporting a circular economy. By preventing waste upfront, we reduce the need to collect, recycle, or compost materials later. Example projects here may include redesigned packaging, like implementing durable, returnable, or refillable packaging systems for food service, grocery, or event settings. Refill stations, like installing bulk or refill systems for beverages, personal care, or cleaning products in schools, retail, or hospitality locations. Waste-free toolkits, like creating lending libraries or sharing platforms for events, tools, or equipment to encourage reuse. Redesigning business operations, such as adding container washing and reuse systems within business processes, supported by feasibility or equipment planning. And public outreach, such as educating the community through art, demonstrations, or campaigns promoting waste prevention. Slide. The second award category focuses on reuse and repair projects that extend the life of products and materials by replacing disposable single-use items with durable, reusable alternatives. Some of the example projects may include replacing single-use items, such as transitioning from disposable food serviceware to durable, washable reusables, potentially including the purchase of reusables, dishwashing equipment, or staffing support. Repair clinics, such as hosting community repair events that teach residents how to fix broken or faulty items, helping extend product life and reduce waste. Reusable, returnable takeout systems. Under this, a business-focused model can include launching or expanding reusable takeout container systems at restaurants or food service establishments with attention to container durability, efficient washing, and reuse tracking. Or a community-focused model can include developing shared citywide networks that enable multiple businesses or events to participate in reusable container programs. And upcycling, which can include transforming discarded materials such as furniture, textiles, or other items into new products or higher quality or creative value. Upcycling gives materials a second life, preventing them from being landfilled or downcycled. The third award category focuses on food waste prevention and recovery projects that divert edible food and food byproducts from landfills and put them to their highest and best use. This category supports efforts to collect, redistribute, or repurpose food that would otherwise be wasted or composted. Some example projects include infrastructure upgrades, such as expanding refrigeration, storage, or transportation capacity to safely store, use, or distribute recovered food. Food upcycling, such as repurposing food or byproducts, such as kitchen scraps or spent grains into new food products, ingredients, or even animal feed. Upcycling in this context means creatively transforming food materials that would have been discarded into higher value products. Food waste reduction campaigns, such as conducting public education and outreach to raise awareness about food waste prevention at the household or the community level. And edible food recovery, such as organizing neighborhood cleaning programs where volunteers collect surplus produce from residential properties, gardens, or farms and donate it to people in need. Eligible grant expenses may include both non-personal and personal costs necessary to complete the proposed project. Non-personal costs cover direct operating expenses such as capital improvements, supplies, equipment and installation, trainings, transportation, education and outreach materials, refreshments, permits, and other project-specific expenses not listed as ineligible. Personal costs may include staff salaries or wages directly related to project implementation. It is the grantee's responsibility to ensure that all required permits and event insurance and/or permits are in place or will be in place during the grant term for any proposed projects. It is also the grantee's responsibility to secure additional funding if the total cost of the project's budget exceeds the requested funding amount. Grant funds may not be used for activities conducted before the contract is executed, cash incentives to maintain participation, neighborhood association insurance for regular meetings, political campaigns, items or activities with religious messages or themes, or contributions to charitable organizations. Grantees are expected to manage funds responsibly and ensure all expenses align with the ZWIC program's goals and City of San Jose requirements. Grant payments are tied to project progress and documentation, not strictly reimbursement. Funds will be released in 3 phases. 10% startup payment after contract execution to help launch project activities, 80% progress payment during the progress report phase based on submission of invoices and receipts for key purchases, and 10% final payment upon submission and approval of the final report demonstrating project completion and outcomes. All applicants are expected to have read and understood Section 7, titled Procurement and Contract Process Integrity and Conflict of Interest of the city's Consolidated Open Government and Ethics Provisions. A full copy of Resolution 77135 is available online in the link that you're seeing on the slide. Applicants who violate these provisions will be subject to disqualification. Grounds for disqualification include contacting city staff or evaluation team members outside of the designated contact, colluding with other applicants regarding terms, attempting to influence city staff or the evaluation team, submitting false, misleading, or incomplete information. Additional disqualifying conduct includes offering gifts, having unresolved legal disputes with the city, inability to fulfill project responsibilities, or prior default under a city agreement. Compliance with these ethics and integrity standards is critical to ensure a fair, transparent, and accountable grant process. The ZWIC program identifies priority project areas to target projects in communities that face higher environmental and socio-economic burdens and greater recycling challenges. These areas are defined by the Cal Enviro Screen 4 census tracts with a cumulative impact score of 25 or higher, indicating disadvantaged communities, and San Jose single-family dwelling recycling contamination rates above 41% based on the city's most recent fall 2024 waste characterization study. Eligible applicants proposing projects in at least one priority zip code can receive 5 bonus points. You can access this map using the link on this slide to see if your project is in a priority area. The blue shaded areas on the map represent the priority areas, and the pink boundaries indicate the zip codes that include those priority areas. You can search your project address in the map to see if it falls within a priority zip code, which will help you complete the priority project location section of the application. Alternatively, if you know your zip code, you can use the filter function to zoom directly to the corresponding priority area. Now I'm handing it off to Nina.
Thank you, Yamini. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the grant process overview. Step 1, if you haven't already, will be to join Web Grants. Then you'll apply for the Zero Waste Innovations grant. Then we will enter our review process. Then it will be approval and then post-approval. So step 1, if you haven't already, is to join Web Grants. If you already have a Web Grants account, please do not make a new one. Use the one that you already have. But if not, you'll visit grants.sanjoseca.gov and you'll click that big yellow button that says click here to register. Next slide, please. Once you click that button, you'll be taken to this registration page. You'll fill out all of your information and then you'll click the green Save Registration Information button up at the top. Next slide, thank you. Once you receive approval, you'll receive 2 emails, one with your user ID and one with a temporary password. Approval can take up to 3 business days, so please keep that in mind. And then once you receive this information, you'll be ready to log back into Web Grants. Once you log back into Web Grants, you're going to click on Funding Opportunities on the left-hand side, and you will find the Zero Waste Innovations Grant opportunity. You may have more on your list, more posted funding opportunities, so feel free to use that search bar up on the right to find ZWIG. You will then scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll download the ZWIG budget form and the ZWIG waste calculator form. Make sure you download those and fill those out because you will need to upload them on your application. Then you'll scroll back up to the top and you'll click on Start New Application, where you'll fill out all of the answers to our questions. And I'll pass it on to Marina.
Thank you, Nina. So the ZWIG program contains 7 application elements. So the first one is determining eligibility. Prospective applicants should ensure they fall under one of the eligible entity categories to apply for this grant program, and also ensure that the project being proposed falls under one of the 3 grant categories. Once that has been determined, applicants should review the list of eligible and ineligible expenses to ensure that their proposal will not get disqualified. The second element is project overview. So the project should clearly describe the project's needs, or the proposal, I should say, innovation and non-duplication of existing San Jose solid waste programs, including recycling, composting, and mixed waste processing. The third element is the project outcome. Outcomes should be specific, clearly defined, feasible, measurable, and appropriate for the scope and scale of the project. Be sure to clearly describe the target audience and the results anticipated with milestones and timelines that are realistic. The fourth element is waste prevention and diversion impact. Project avoids or reduces waste generated in San Jose and contributes to reuse and recovery in San Jose during the project and in the future. The fifth element will include budget. Requests should be clear, with expense contribute to achieving the project's goals. Expenses should be realistic and meet eligibility guidelines. And budget request timeline fits within the allocated funding period. And the project is also cost effective. The sixth element should be experience. It should include the project leads and the team, and outline who clearly is defined and demonstrates experience on that project lead team, the capacity and the capability of implementing the project, and that staff demonstrates fiscal management and readiness to implement the project. And the last element is the priority project location, as Yamini mentioned earlier. Applicants will receive 5 extra bonus points if their project is within the identified zip codes on the project priority map location. All eligible applications will be scored by a review panel consisting of internal and external members and be scored according to the following criteria. So they'll receive 20 points for the project overview, 20 for the project outcome, waste prevention and diversion impact will also be 20 points, as well as budget and experience, as well as that additional 5 bonus points mentioned for projects that lie within the priority locations. City staff will screen all submitted applications, and applications that do not meet eligibility criteria and are incomplete will be disqualified. All qualified applications will be reviewed by the evaluation panel. The panel will evaluate and score application submissions, and awards will be made to the highest scoring applicants. Once the panel has rated the applications, an environmental services staff has determined and approved the final selected applicant list. The Z-Wave program administration team will send the eligible service provider list to all applicants. Applicants not included in the eligible service provider list will have 10 calendar days to appeal. If there are no objections, selected grantees will receive a notice of award. Selected grantees will then enter into a contract for year 1 with the possibility of year 2 extension. Grant funding will begin February 1st, 2026. And final awards will be based on available funding and Z-Wig program goals and objectives. Final awards shall be contingent upon the selected applicants accepting the city's standard terms and conditions and meeting insurance requirements and substantial conformance to the grant agreement exemplar, which is attached in the NOFO. So any objections to the notice of funding opportunity, to the structure, content, or distribution of the NOFO must be submitted in writing via email prior to the application due date of December 5th to Diana at the ZWI grants at sanjoseca.gov email, and must be as specific as possible and provide description and rationale for the objection. If there are any appeals to the award, unsuccessful applicants may distribute the award recommendation, and the appeal must be submitted in writing via email no later than 10 calendar days after the eligible service provider list is posted, January 2nd, 2026. There is no appeal process for applicants that are disqualified due to not meeting the minimum eligibility or application requirements. And any questions or appeals could be sent with attention to Andrew Hitchcock and could also be sent to the ZWI grant at sanjoseca.gov. Applicants may not use Z-Wave program funds to supplant other funding. Supplanting involves using the awarded Z-Wave program grant funds to replace other funding that the entity has already appropriated or allocated to deliver the same proposed program or service. So for example, if an applicant is not awarded Z-Wave program funding and would conduct the proposed project with other funds instead, this would be an example of supplanting. The Z-Wave program is intended to fund new programs or the continuation or expansion of existing programs that would otherwise not be available. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to now open it to Q&A. Just a reminder that all official answers will be posted as an addendum to the web grant and may deviate slightly from the answers being provided today.
Okay, so we do have our first question from Kate. Kate says, would the purchase of commercial composting equipment for a nonprofit commercial kitchen be an eligible project?
Yes.
Okay, yes, perfect. If you have any more questions, please be sure to enter them in the Q&A section rather than in the chat. I'll give everybody a couple minutes to enter their questions. Okay, from Rachel, can you confirm if the priority service area is based on the highlighted census tract or the zip codes? And are shape files for the areas available to download?
It is based on the zip codes that the applicants can select, where it is basically a drop-down list in the application. So if your project area falls within a priority zip code, you can select those relevant zip codes and submit your application.
Thank you, Yami. And then Emily says, funds from the grant cannot be allocated to charities, but can profits generated from the project be donated to charities?
We'll need to.
Emily, we'll get back to you on that one.
We'll post the answer on our web grants addendum.
Thank you, Emily. Will we be sent the slides via email?
We'll be emailing the recording and we could post the slides on our website
Yes,
and notify everyone.
correct. Okay, would food waste education programs at schools be an eligible project?
Yes.
Yes,
Good question. Do we have their emails? Because I don't believe
We
there's
do.
a registration.
we do.
Okay, perfect.
Mitch says, hi, thanks for this helpful overview. A few questions. One, does this grant support washing and logistics for K-12 school districts wanting to convert to reusable mealware? Yes, absolutely, Mitch. And would this grant be able to cover a potential opportunity to cover the SAP Center to reusable foodware?
SAP Center is a city facility. We'll get back to that question.
Yes, for that second one, Mitch, we'll get back to you. But for the first question regarding the schools, absolutely. Any other questions? Are you going to award a certain number of grants to each category area?
No, we anticipate awarding about 6 total among all 3 categories.
Any other questions? One more question. Would a K-12 environmental literacy project qualify?
Yes, as long as the program has strong connections to our objectives and goals to promote solid waste reduction, greenhouse gas emission reduction, etc.
I'll give everybody a couple more minutes. Mitch just says, thank you again. Very well done. Thanks, Mitch. Is this an annual grant program?
Future grant cycles is dependent on the AB 939 funding availability. So we hope so, but we won't know until the time comes, which will be after this year's cycle in January 2027 to see about year 2, and then we'll see about the next cycle 2.
Are we expected to come up with projected profits report?
As part of the if it's part of the application, is that an application question or a progress report question? We encourage all details, projections, estimates as part of your application. And we'll work directly with your grant manager for progress report content and desired information.
Would procurement strategies be considered under redesigning business operations?
Possibly. Please put all of your details into your application.
Can you expand on supplanting? If current programs are currently funded through general philanthropic dollars, not specifically earmarked to this project, can these grant funds be used to fund a current/ongoing project?
We would want to fund projects that are not already earmarked with funding streams. So, we encourage you to, if you have a specific question on that, email us. But the intent is to fund new projects or like a next phase of an existing project that isn't already allocated and has like a revenue or funding stream.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, Rachel, if you have further questions on that, feel free to send us an email. Can we focus on multiple elements from each category?
Yes, we encourage you to add all of those details, but we do require you to select one category. So please select the one that best fits your project.
I'll give everybody maybe 3 more minutes to ask some more questions, and if not, we'll end.
And also, if any questions come up in the application process, just a reminder that the Q&A period goes from November 7th to November 24th. So you'll have the opportunity just to send us an email, which is shown here on the screen, if any questions come up while you're proposing and drafting your proposal.
I'd also like to add that you can also submit questions through Web Grants itself while you're submitting your application. So if you have any questions, feel free to submit them there as well. I'm not sure if I missed it, but I would also like to know if we can focus on multiple elements as we have ongoing projects while also needing capital funding for our new building and new community trainings.
I'm not sure what you mean by multiple elements. If you mean multiple categories, the 1 to 3 we have.
If you mean multiple proposals for different things, we are only having a requirement of 1 proposal per application.
Yeah, Mariel, feel free to expand on that if you'd like, or you can always send us an email too. Since you expect the program to be new and currently unfunded, do you expect it to be sustainable after the grant ends? What if it is a pilot program?
Yes, we will consider pilot programs, and yes, we would like something sustainable if the application addresses that.
I think that will be part of the grading criteria is how scalable the project is and how sustainable it is to continue after the funding period.
We have any further questions? All right, folks, thank you all so much for joining us. If you have any further questions, again, feel free to send us an email. You can also reach us by phone, or you can submit your questions on web grants. Thank you so much, everybody.